have provided Kenya shillings, 3.7 billion Kenya shillings for the confirmation of interns who are in the health sector, as Honorable Speaker, for them to be confirmed into permanent and pensionable terms. Honorable Speaker, Kenya, part of the reason why Kenya is largely informal in terms of the nature of our economy is that we are still agrarian. And Honorable Speaker, this is not something to be proud of. When we measure the economy, we measure economy using two things. One is economic growth, Honorable Speaker, and in that, Honorable Speaker, we do qualitative and quantitative. What I've been doing is reporting GDP and the rest. That is quantitative, Honorable Speaker. But we also need to look at the other areas around how people are, how the economy is performing qualitatively, Honorable Speaker. And I say so because majority of Kenyans are engaged in farming, in agriculture. It is not something to be proud of because one of the measures of a country growing or economic growth of a country, Honorable Speaker, is having agriculture contributing less to the economy, not more. In fact, one of the definitions of an economy that has grown, of a developed economy, is an economy whose involvement of agriculture in terms of GDP is less than 10%. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, however, we also have to look at where we are. We are a developing country, not a developed one. And therefore, most of the Kenyans are engaged in agriculture. What we have done in agriculture is this, Honorable Speaker. We have provided Kenya shillings 7.5 billion that will go into fertilizer subsidy. And this time, Honorable Speaker, fertilizer subsidy will be both for food crops and also cash crops. The coffee farmers, the tea farmers, the food farm, maize farmers and the rest, Honorable Speaker, will have an opportunity to benefit from that fertilizer subsidy, Honorable Speaker. Second thing, we have provided money for coffee cherry-fed, Kenya shillings 3 billion. And Honorable Speaker, we have also provided monies 2 billion to start paying the coffee debts owed to coffee farmers, Honorable Speaker, and coffee societies. Honorable Speaker, we have provided monies for sugar reforms, which we continue, Honorable Speaker, to provide for us to continue supporting our sugar cane farmers. Honorable Speaker, we have provided Kenya shillings 1.5 billion to act as the defense of raw milk prices so that the milk prices, the dairy farmers, can get at least 50 shillings per litre, Honorable Speaker, every now and then, even when there is abundance of the feed, Honorable Speaker. We have also provided, Honorable Speaker, monies, 2 billion shillings, that will go into purchase of coolers. There we have a different program before, where Kenya was to have this program with Pollard. And therefore, Kenya was to provide only 10%, and then Pollard was to give us 95% in terms of loan.
Yeah, some 3 minutes to conclude, Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, what you have done, Honorable Speaker, is to provide 2 billion Kenya shillings that Kenya government will no longer rely on any other country. We want to buy these coolers as government and supply to the farmers of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there was a Maraga task force, Honorable Speaker, that went around the country to look at the situation of our security officers. Security officers are our brothers and sisters, but they continue to live in a manner, Honorable Speaker, that is subhuman. One, because as we know, they don't have a voice, they don't have a union. Honorable Speaker, this House has listened through the Budget Committee to the cries of our security officers, and we have input Kenya shillings, 3.5 billion Kenya shillings for enhancement of salaries for our security officers, Honorable Speaker, in line with the Maraga task force. Honorable Speaker, there are many things we have done, including, Honorable Speaker, monies for aggregation centers, monies for, we have added around 2.5 billion Kenya shillings for aggregation centers. We have added EPs a day, 1.5 billion Kenya shillings for the factories, Honorable Speaker, that have been ongoing across 6 areas in Kenya, and much more. As I come to the conclusion, I want to thank the Kenyan people. This is a period where we must seize the moment, Honorable Speaker. And one way we are doing to seize the moment, the Kenyan government has over 334 entities, Honorable Speaker. Many of the regulations and the registrations we do in this house, we create new bodies. And Kenyan government continues to enlarge, Honorable Speaker. We create duplication. And in that regard, we have started to walk the talk. And in this budget, Honorable Speaker, we have denied 47 entities managed for operations and maintenance, Honorable Speaker, so that we hood them up, we merge them together so that we continue to have a lean government that is responsive to the needs of the Kenyan people. And Honorable Speaker, that exercise is saving us around 7.9 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, at some point we have to ask critical questions in this house. In Muranga, in Taita Taveta, you'll have a Kera engineer, you'll have a Kenha engineer, you'll have a Kura engineer. Honorable Speaker, this house will need to ask very critical questions. A Kera engineer, Honorable Mwago in Starehe, do you need a Kenha engineer in the same place? Do you need a Kura engineer in the same place? Some of those questions, Honorable Speaker, are what we must progressively ask ourselves. And this cuts across all other sectors. The waterworks companies that we have in Kenya, the water industry sector only, has got over 20 entities, Honorable Speaker. We have to ask ourselves, do we need these 20 entities or do we need to scale them down? These are critical questions. They are not in the budget now, but I'm just opening up a debate. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the Honorable Mary Emase, who is the Vice Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, to second this motion.
Well said, Chairperson. The Honorable Mary Emase. The Honorable Kanchori.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Memusi.
Memusi, standing in front of me. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to second the motion on the supplementary estimates. From the onset, I rise to second. Honorable Speaker, indeed we are at unprecedented times, because for the first time in our history, we are revising a budget before even implementing it. And we are all aware that this was I want to start with the phrase that difficult times call for tough decisions. And the collapse of the finance bill and all that has been happening in the country, I think has given us a number of lessons. And even as we were revising the finance bill, we were guided by some of the lessons that we have learned as a house. So we listened, and we had to revise this the budget estimate. And Kenyans have told us we need to stay lean, hungry, and responsible. So as the budget committee, we have made cuts, not only on the non-essential expenditure, but also on essential expenditure. As you look at the estimates, a number of envisaged programs that cut across all sectors, be it water, roads, electricity, even industrialization, as we've just had, even the Committee on Trade has complained, and all other sectors have suffered cuts. Honorable Speaker, even corporations, 47 of them are receiving only P&E, personal emoluments. There is one parastatal that is not even receiving personal emoluments as they await the restructuring, the mergers, rollovers, or closure for some of them. So, Honorable Speaker, this House was also not spared. Even the Parliamentary Service Commission, we have CPST, the Proposed Training Center, that is ongoing. And we have a number of projects across sectors that have certificates, have also suffered cuts across board. I don't want to go into the details, but I want to mention one key important aspect. It is important that as we are revising this budget, we need to note that we are revising this budget at a time when the country is facing a lot of challenges. Of course, I've mentioned that we've learned lessons. The country is calling for austerity. The country is calling for accountability. And the country is calling for this House to allocate money in a manner that creates opportunities for the young people, among others. So my call is to those accounting officers, all leaders in positions of leadership, of responsibility, that we must appropriate this money prudently in a manner that will give results. All those who've been appointed to administer the appropriation of this money, make sure you help the president to realize the objectives and for Kenyans to be able to see value for their money. Because Kenyans are still watching us, and they'll continue to watch to see how this money is utilized for the benefit of Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, the Budget Committee, we've done our bit. We've made the cuts across board. I do not want to repeat the figures, but it is now up to the individuals who are bestowed with the responsibility to oversight all those institutions, the Auditor General, Control of Budget, among others, ESCC. Let each institution play their role. Accounting officers and all of us, committees, so that we make sure Kenyans get value for money which we are appropriating through this revised budget. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I second.
Thank you, honorable members. Order. Order. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the estimates for financial year 2024-2025, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution, Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, and Standing Order number 243, 1, approves a decrease of the current expenditure for financial year 2024-2025 by Kenya shillings 38,896,358,312 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. 2, approves a decrease of the total capital expenditure for financial year 2024-2025 by Kenya shillings 107,445,607,478 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. And 3, approves an overall decrease in the total budget for financial year 2024-2025 by Kenya shillings 146,342,055,790 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule, subject to paragraph 6, that is the Committee of Supply. And 4, makes the policy resolutions as contained in the fourth schedule. And 5, resolve that the first schedule form the basis for the introduction of the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2024. And 6, orders that the Speaker do now leave the chair to facilitate the consideration of the said budget estimates with respect to each vote and program in the Committee of Supply as contemplated under Standing Order 240, that is, with regards to consideration of supplementary estimates in the Committee of Supply. And